You're about to leave reality and enter the world of fantasy sports.
And now, from the Sports Center in East Hampton, New York.
Sports! Hello there, good people, and welcome to Sports Talk, where we make fantasy sports into a reality. I'm your host, Rob Shaw. We're talking some fantasy football right here live at Shports.com, as well as YouTube.com/Fanalist. Check it out, pretty cool stuff there. In fact, Circuit City's putting together a great promotion in which you could become a Fanalist, find out what kind of cool prizes you could get and what kind of exposure you could get for your fantasy sports knowledge. Again, YouTube.com/Fanalist. Get in the game. All right, my friends, let's talk some fantasy football. It's time for the Sports Talk Stock Report, the only stock report out there that's not in a recession at this moment. And on that note, we're going to start on the Bull Report, where we do have some good news coming from Muhsin Muhammad. What a year he's put together so far. Now, the first couple of games, he had over 50 yards. I think we all assumed, all right, he's filling in for Steve Smith. He's going to get the ball his way. But lo and behold, this past weekend, over 140 yards with the touchdown. This guy happens to have a nice rapport with Jake Delhomme. This is a guy who had over 1,400 yards 4 years ago, 16 touchdowns. The numbers are ridiculous. Yeah, he hasn't been all that good with Chicago the last couple of years, but now that he's back in Carolina, he is back. This guy's worth an investment. You could buy low right now, put him on your roster, start him right away. This guy's going to get you some pretty good numbers. All right, now time for the Bear Report, and that's where we find our good friend Brian Griese. Same guy who threw for over 400 yards this past 2 weeks ago. This past weekend goes out and throws for fewer than 150 yards. But the one thing he did do was throw another 3 interceptions for the second week in a row. This is a guy that does not have any value right now. I'm not sure why they're sticking with him. Obviously some personnel issues there, personalities clashing at the very least between Garcia and head coach John Gruden. But I'll tell you right now, Brian Griese is not a guy you want on your roster, and all that hype about Antonio Bryant seemed to go away pretty quickly. And now we finish up with the Traders Report, and I say trade now for Kurt Warner. Why? Yeah, obviously 472 passing yards certainly does help the argument, but he did have a couple of fumbles, he did have a couple of interceptions. But that's all bad news. Plenty of good news. Had a couple of touchdowns as well. But the best news of all is the fact that his team was down and out early, and no Matt Leinart was found. He stayed on the bench. They stuck with Warner. That goes to tell you how high Warner's stock is on that team. So don't worry about him losing his job anytime soon. He's got plenty of job security. We've seen it this past weekend at New York. Trust me, Leinart's not getting on the field anytime soon unless if Warner goes down with an injury. That is great fantasy news for Warner. So I guess the big thing is, even with 470 plus yards, it's actually the fact that he stayed in the game the whole time that has his value soaring right now. Put him in your roster. You're going to want him for the entire season. I see this guy as a top 5 quarterback. Well, my friends, that is your Sports Talk Stock Report for now. Again, visit us youtube.com/Fanalist or right here at Shports.com, where every day we have a different note worthy of your knowledge as far as fantasy football goes. And also, you have a question, you could ask Butch, our friendly pug. He'll be more than happy to respond. Hey, may the sports be with you.